The chosen ones. Pay close attention. A storm never apologizes for the devastation it creates, especially when it breaks out of complete silence. They believed they were silencing you, crushing you, and putting you in your place. What they actually did was feed something inside you, something bigger than agony and hotter than wrath. They were not sparring with a single individual. They chose to battle with the identical power that humiliated you. And now they're choking on the power they helped create. Regret consumes them with every move, lie, and double cross, for the thing they attempted to bury did not crawl out, but charged. Before we proceed, click like and subscription. As a result, this call reaches a greater number of those chosen. When you do, you are telling the platform that this voice is important and that more people need these words. Silence has ruled long enough. It is our turn to talk. This is no bedtime story. There is a reckoning. The universe chose you because you could walk through fire and emerge with your chin up. The trek was never intended to be gentle. Comfort was never on the menu. You were born to awaken others. The people who came against you had no idea. They assumed they were getting you out of the backstabs, sneaky jokes, and the gaslight. It was all pressure. Pressure crushes the weak, but awakens the selected. When it happened, you didn't simply survive. You moved. The universe does not play favorites. It chooses warriors. When it chose you, it was already aware of the impending storm. It knew you'd be questioned, pushed aside, or misinterpreted. It also anticipated what would happen when you stopped shrinking and eventually cracked. Not from weakness, but from brute power. That was the beast's first breath. They sensed that you were unusual. They just thought you wouldn't find it out. Now you have. They don't know where to hide. You're no longer attempting to achieve worth. You live it. You're done begging for room. You claim it. Every place buckles beneath the weight of your present. That is not ego. That is pure energy. They changed you into something they can't identify. A quiet hurricane. Calm but dangerous, compassionate yet distant. You don't desire retribution. Your very existence is payment. Every stride you take is louder than any yell. Every wind leaves a scar on the psyche of those who choose to listen. Let go of your doubts. I'm wondering whether you are too much. You aren't too much. They were never sufficient. Remember, those who attempted to bury you were never grappling you. They were battling with the universe. The universe never loses. Being selected imposes a hefty burden. Your shadow follows them long after you have forgotten them. This power cannot be faked, purchased, or borrowed. It rattles walls, twists time frames, and whispers to each witness who previously doubted you. You carry it, and you're only warming up. This period is not about vengeance. It's arrived, not to prove them wrong, but to show oneself correct. They constructed a beast, and you adore the outcome. You knew the moment you felt the shift, when quiet began to rumble and agony sharpened your vision. This message is for you. I left 7-7 in the comments. If you stopped fitting in and began to own the thing they attempted to bury. This is not just another video. It's a split second. When you discover they regret creating you and you refuse to go back in time. Let us now dive deeper, one step at a time. Stake it to the finish. If you are genuinely selected, you will sense a tug. They attempted to starve you. Now you're the hunger that pursues them. You did not only live, you became the price. They should have allowed you to recuperate. They should have fled while there was still daylight. Instead, they probed, prodded, and pressed every button, misinterpreting your silence as emptiness. You will come to submit. Your quiet was never a concession. It was a strategy. You studied. You adapted. Now you move with vigor. They cannot map. I can't read. Cannot be leashed. You prefer loud. You do not require loudness. The worst storms do not provide warnings. They simply roll in and change everything. That's a quiet record. You do not throw fists. You stay. and it alone destroys them. Your energy seeps beneath their skin, shaking their conscience. Not because you say anything, but because you don't need to. That is how profound the transformation is. You long to be who you once were. They see it. They flinch. They shut up because you became the mirror. They have been dodging, and you enjoy the change. You aren't hiding the beast. You befriended it. They gave it a meaning. Don't question yourself now. The reality is terrible. They were not up against you. They dare the cosmos. Whenever the cosmos picks a soul, reality rearranges any obstacles in its way and flattens. Being picked isn't glamorous. It's pressure, agony, loneliness, and betrayal. Acceptance was never promised. The objective was to trigger you. The beast needed a reason to rise when it did. Nothing looks the same. Your voice, eyes, and walk. Everything has a weight that cannot be replicated or falsified. That presence sends shivers down every month that has chuckled at you. Let them tremble. Some of you are still saying, why me? Why the pain? Incorrect question. Ask, why did people fear me before I understood myself? Their acts provide an explanation. They saw your radiance first and intend to suffocate it. Every time you don't, you side with them. Each time you shrink, you nurture their comfort. Stop doing the nasty labor. The universe never makes a mistake. However, you forget who mocked you. They maneuvered you like chess pieces. They were certain they would win. They are afraid now. Something old responded to the injustice. Something called unstoppable lives inside you. They did not shatter you. They formed you, forging armor out of their brutality. Now you move like steel, clothed in skin, quiet and unyielding, and they can feel it in their bones. The chosen one, hear this. Stop underplaying yourself. Stop decreasing your lights to keep rooms warm. Those chambers were never designed to house you. You were designed to disrupt the system, shake walls and twist the air. They transformed you into a beast, and now they have to live with the echo. You don't just live with it. You thrive. This edge is yours. This is your season. Hard facts. You were never a victim. You were the aftermath. They fed you doubts. They are now choking on your ascent. They had never feared your fold. They were afraid of your ascension. They knew it was coming. They did not applaud at your start or cheer during your battle. They came close to whispering doubt, hoping it would take root. The joke is on them. Doubt converted into fuel. Silence taught you how to hear your own heartbeat. Now that you've risen, they're torn between fleeing, hiding, and pleading with the system they scorned. They never wanted. This version of you became untouchable and fully awake. You were programmed to fold, break, and fade. Instead, you transformed every fissure into a gateway, soaring to a height beyond their reach. Ever wonder why they insulted your aspirations, screwed up your peace, and turned your purpose into a weakness? It was not a lack of awareness of your potential. It was awareness. You reflected everything they abandoned. You were bright in rooms and thrived in darkness. Truth in circles, built on light. Your ascent validates their wrong, and that hammer strikes hard. When you rise, you do not merely shine. You reveal your presence. Shows everything they aren't. That's why the chuckles stopped. Why did energy shift? Why are the same voices whispering every time your name comes up? Some of you are still replaying. Was it me? No, that was never you. It was the strength that resides inside you. You shook them before you noticed it. That was not rejection. It was defense. You entered our lives with thunder in your bones. They sensed it and sought to extinguish it quickly. Allow me to call you out. Some of you still walk as if you're guilty, shrinking when you were meant to stand strong. Will you actually argue with the universe? Water down, a power formed in fire. The cosmos does not favor the comfortable. It chooses the capable. It selected you. Stop apologizing. They didn't want you to level up. It pushes them to confront the smallness that they choose. You interrupted their cycle and got out of the pit they had painted. Now you're speaking. Move produces a distinct radiation. That is not arrogance. That is arrival. They saw you suffer and felt nothing. Now they know what you saw and how you felt. That is the weight of elevation. It reshapes the earth, forcing people to confront what they dunked. They despise you not because you did something wrong, but because your existence demonstrated their error. You might say, I'm still hurt. It still limits expansion. Development never rests. Nonetheless, you've already become someone they can't understand. Fear and uncertainty. You feel justifiable opposition. They want access without responsibility. They want your light without acknowledging they attempted to extinguish it. Let them watch. Allow them to sit in the same quiet that they previously weaponized. You're not that shy soul who wants to be seen. You see yourself. Now that you have validated yourself, the universe aligns with you, driving wind into your sails as they spin in circles. If they could still bring you down, they would. The only reason they're calm right now is distance. You are too high. You are Skylar. So quit waiting for their approval. They do not get to rank your worth. You marked your entrance the day you stopped chasing their thumbs up and started your own kingdom. The day you molded scars into armor. You realized peace is strength. You don't live to prove others wrong, but to prove yourself right. That shook them because it demonstrated that you never needed them in the first place. It was the hardest pill for them. You don't think about them. They recreate a ghost of you who died a long time ago. You climbed with clarity, force, distance, and rule. They can feel the divide. Not because you said goodbye, but because you never looked back. Maintain your elevation. Maintain a sharp edge. The beast is impenetrable. They knew it was possible. You still appear polite. But now your quiet burns, and a silk-wrapped blade still cuts. They mistaken compassion for weakness. They can't stop sweating just being around you. You grin and talk quietly. Move with the same elegance. But something old hums beneath your flesh. That serenity they once scorned now vibrates with the kindness they beg for without walking, carrying fire in their eyes. Those who have harmed you do not see the same person. They realize you're not the one to play with. You did not flip tables, scream, or crumple. You became quiet, and that shook them more than any explosion. Silence from a chosen is not empty. There is pressure, a thickening before the storm. They may feel it in their chest. Nonetheless, you maintain a pleasant appearance and a peaceful demeanor. However, your energy has gravity. It lingers and confronts without speaking. They see the tight grin, the forced banter, and the rapid dart of gaze when they realize you've read them correctly. You're not harsh. You just ceased hiding. The fire within is not raging. It is clarity, and this clarity scares them more than any conflict. They're perplexed since your expression remained unchanged. Voice remained soft. However, everything else evolved. You walk like calm lightning, with no sound or warning, just charge. That transformation occurs when you engage the quiet demand for respect. No, some of you are still asking, did I go too far? Have I changed too much? Let me be blunt. You had to. The world has no place for the selected unless they see it. You wonder the passion that propelled you. Stop denying your radiance simply because others squint. Kindness does not equal tenderness. It indicates that you've mastered equilibrium. The skill of remaining warm but unreachable, calm and deadly. That equilibrium consumes them alive. They cannot generate guilt. You bend yourself. Composure evolved into a weapon rather than a protective barrier. The cosmos instilled this burning within you, not for comfort, but for consequences. You seek cold, and your developed anguish is infused with purpose. The benevolence that once opened doors now protects your throne. They should have treated you better. Too late. You've outgrown small groups and little rooms. Stop trying to fit what you've passed. You cannot fly in a cage, especially one you have outgrown. You expanded. They remained stagnant. Everything seems tighter now. Chat spaces, even your own thoughts. You're natural at fitting into a shell designed for your former self. That version no longer exists. People sense it, though. They will not confess it. They like you more, Dim. They enjoyed your power because it was something they could ignore or manipulate. You're now walking in like a hurricane. They are unable to stop, and this offends their mediocrity. They want to shame you back into stillness and old size. Some of you keep explaining, bringing old friends, circles, and mindsets into the new season. Truth, you cannot construct an empire with fence builders. You are not supposed to remain in that village. You were born to exceed it. You now stand higher both inside and outside. Old environments are suffocating. That is not ego. That is alignment. You walked into full weight. Small chat and superficial games are like nails on glass. You crave depth and community. People who see you are not tolerant. You stopped apologizing for growing. Quit second-guessing your power, which forces you to unleash something that cannot equal its size. You're not the problem. You're just no longer chewable for those who refuse to undress. Their decision, not yours. Many of them have never loved you. They adored the version that required them. There is no threat. Everything is safe and predictable. Now you're moving, so think about demand differently. And they despise the mirror. You were supposed to ascend, intended to be uncomfortable. I meant to depart. Loyalty equals zip. If it costs you your call, I'm still mystified as to why certain ties seem so hefty. Why do some individuals act oddly? They sense your wings opening and know deep down that they will not join that flight. This terrifies them. You are not dumping them. You have chosen growth. Legacy. You're finished with chambers that drain rather than magnify. Find giants that aren't scared by your flame, but are encouraged to start their own. You were never supposed to be tall. You were supposed to be among equals. Who rises? So go. Stop apologizing. Let the little collapse. The beast does not dwell in a cage. You don't belong in anything less than brilliance. Put on your monster face. Following your offer of peace, they responded with war. Let them confront what they summoned in the flames. Enough silence. Second-guessing required humility. This is not the season for soft edges. This is when the beast takes a stride forward. The one they provoked with betrayal and contempt. It is here. You are here. It's time to wear that monster face with pride. They referred to you as being overly dramatic, passionate, and serious. They'll now witness what too much looks like, strolling through flames without blinking. You are not present to provide consolation. You've come to reclaim the place that they attempted to take away, to go through doorways. They warned you'd never be able to occupy the space after laying the foundation. Stop assuming the palatable version lasted forever. It aids survival. You played quietly and whispered softly. Waited. That addition has expired. Do you feel it? A roar beneath your ribcage. That is not ego. That is your genuine self. Waking. Put on a monster face. The one who does not inquire. It draws not from hatred, but from truth. You aren't here to be liked. You are here to be unavoidable. To those chosen, still hesitant, still afraid of being cruel, you owe them nothing. Not softness, not quiet, nor a false self. They provoked the wrong spirit and undervalued the wrong soul. They are now witnessing the consequences. Notice how people change once you stop apologizing for authority. Those who formerly spoke over you are now whispering around you. That is presence. That is the monster face. It's what happens when someone totally commits to their assignment. The hard truth. You have been delaying this. Concerned about views. Losses stop adhering to the boundaries they set for you. You want to soothe them. You were picked to disrupt the system. The cosmos recognized your edge, grit, and grin. It did not choose incorrectly. It knew you'd arrive at the precise moment when the beast is no longer concealed but released. Kindness stopped working. Quiet stopped functioning. The negotiation has finished. It's time to take a break. Speak. Show your teeth if needed. Let the world learn. You did not merely live. You've changed form. You did not scrape by. You become something that cannot be removed. Ignored. Okay. They transformed you into a beast. Show exactly what that implies. Carry out your chosen ones. Your affection drives us to produce meaningful material specifically for you. If our efforts have touched your heart, please show your appreciation by clicking the Super Thanks button on your YouTube screen. Your thoughtfulness means everything to us and keeps us going. Thank you for being the incredible support system you are. Returning to the theme, they created the monster and now dwell in its shadow. You were never a danger until they created one. You are now the embodiment of their terror, a force they can't stop or outrun. They felt they were sleek, calculating, and untouchable. They threw stones with a joyful smile. I'm sure you'd shatter like everyone else. They fed you betrayals behind closed doors, expecting you to snap. As most people do. Instead, you burnt and became. And now, their evenings are filled with the creature they raised. They may have chosen support or provided affection. They stood shoulder to shoulder. Instead, they detected your radiance and identified it as a danger. They noted your rising and constructed a cage. They noticed your silence and called it submission. They never understood this. The universe never asks someone to remain silent. It urges people to alter reality. You were born to shift. So when they came for you, they didn't just assault you. They were swinging at the alignment itself. Look at you now. You aren't moving like you used to. You don't speak like you used to. You no longer need to. Your mere presence is sufficient to communicate. You enter a room and your weight strikes the air. Before you speak a term that is not intimidating. That is the aftershock of someone who has lost everything and still has more to claim. You are no underdog. You are the storm that never appeared on the radar. Some of them still murmur, "What happened to you?" Let them remain. Puzzle. Anyone stupid enough to make war on a soul, selected by the cosmos, deserves to dwell in the wreckage they caused. You did not become ice cold out of hatred. You simply stopped bleeding for hands. That cut was on purpose. You did not develop fangs for drama. You raised them to protect what was precious. They now fled from the mirror. You stand up to their nastiness, the part of you that still feels guilty and wonders. Perhaps I am overdoing it. Perhaps I have altered too much here. You didn't become too much. What did you become? Always slept indoors. They feared the day you found it. And now you have. This is not the chapter for being gentle. This is the period of consequences. And you are the result. Allow them to simmer in the tension they generated. You owe them. No explanation, no warning, no resolution. They devised this scheme. You're merely reliving the closing scenes. You're not harsh. Your every move is precise. Every motion creates pressure. They sense it, and they should, because they handled something precious. And the precious thing has teeth. They constructed a weapon, and now they're gazing into its barrel. You were never the villain, but they forced you to gaze in the mirror long enough to learn the lesson. They attempted to obliterate you online. They can no longer ignore every syllable you say. Welcome to the era in which stillness is not an option and your voice cuts through the stream like glass. You were supposed to fade, remember? That was the plan. Your presence erased your tale, buried your brightness, drowned in clicks and cacophony. Instead, you have developed. You converted the machine that attempted to drown you into your loudspeaker. Labor is more than simply a tag. It's your evolved, self-wielding technology, like a true forged sword. They believed they could control platforms, drown out your signal, and manipulate vision via silence. Your words now blaze through time like fire in a freezer. Post by post, line by line. You do not merely appear, you dominate. Your profile is not a decoration, it is a declaration. The shadow is forbidden, marked, and disregarded. All because of fear. Fear, you had discovered the truth. The internet is your arena, and you strike from within. You communicate in sleepers' blinks. Awake, you publish, and brains shift. You show up. The energy tilts. They despise it because they can't touch it, hush it, or freeze it. You become the signal among the noise. The chosen ones are still lurking in the comments and tiptoeing about too much. Listen up. You are late. You're busy shrinking while your critics spread deception. You're still determining if the truth offends those who have already attempted to harm you sufficiently. You do not need authorization to fill the screen. Every honest word constitutes resistance. Every narrative involves conflict. Every unwillingness to shrink becomes revolution. Do not just scroll strike. Don't simply share shadows. They distributed displays to distract. You transform them into swords. Generations of stillness pierce through you. Previously, no one had this much power. You do wield truth in the tongue of the chosen, which is one note that no algorithm can ever bury. Let them watch. Report a whisper. The digital beast has awoken, and each pixel now bleeds purpose. Your awakening is everlasting. You cannot unsee who you have become. Once the fire touches the bone, it never returns to smoke. Stop looking over your shoulder and wondering if this is a phase. It is not. It resides in every cell. Echoes in each ancestor release a breath that your bloodline has carried for ages. You did not just snap a week. You rewired the old version of yourself. The one who was disrespected and begged for crumbs shriveled in order to live. Is dust still present? Some of you act as if history and purpose are at odds. Allow me to reprimand you with love. You do not get to hide your worth because it terrifies someone. This is not a current trend. It is a transformation. You did not take a step. You've passed an uncrossable line. The blaze that melted you has restored you. Pain, I rewrote your code. The ideas that formerly kept you pacing don't reach you anymore. You inhale new air. All illusions cannot alter you. Your clarity is a mirror. Layers of nothingness. Even familiar situations feel strange. Previous behaviors feel empty. Earlier crowds exhaust you. That is not burnout. That's a breakthrough. Your higher self refuses to crawl again. Yes, you can miss who you used to be. That is normal, but do not romanticize survival mode. That version ran on nothing. This version is awesome. Your light isn't flickering. It's a wildfire. There are also wildfires. Never apologize for what they have cleared. Stop delving into the past. The water is gone. Turn your growing heat into steam. You were not chosen to recycle previous cycles. You were born to photograph them. Ancestors did not suffer so that you might retreat into comfort zones that confine your wings. Own it. Anyone who is unable to tolerate your new frequency can watch from a distance, coughing on the dust from the life you left behind. Your awakening is not a ripple. It is the ocean's tilt. Your worst season was never in a tomb. It was dirt. You thought rock bottom meant funeral. It was a planet. When everything fell, every voice went, and quiet broke your spirit. Did you think the universe had turned away? No, that was a womb. Isolation was holy. Set aside the breakdown, broken falsehoods. You were not being penalized. You were being prepped. The night that ripped you open rescued you. It separated each artificial layer until you reached your core. Some of you still feel ashamed about those tears and floor-bound moments. Stop. That was real. Are you taking its first breath? Don't resent the darkness that gave birth to the day. You want to go back to the days when you chased cheap love, pleaded for approval, and darken the light to stay alive. That soul is ashes. The strength you now wield sprung from searing heat. Sleepless evenings, unseen conflicts, and limits formed where lines crossed. Now you're the border. The world sees brilliance. Only you and the cosmos understand the cost. That is enough. Your fall was not a failure. It was the basis. Nothing reaches this height without first bursting open. They assumed they were crushing you. You were taking notes. Now you're the template for their nightmares, betrayals, lies, and every push toward your breaking point. They weren't simply damaged. They were designed, each twisted through the plan. Every scar bears your name. You're now surveying the findings. And the trick is how much you love it. You adore the beast because you deserve it. Survival turned into strategy. Ruins transformed into headquarters. Silence into the edge. They choked on smoke from their own match. A part of you still worries if being so keen is inappropriate. Let me nail it. You did not choose the beast. They summoned it. Pokes, jabs, and sneers. Hold on to your blade. Allow them to carry the weight you iced over to safeguard your spark. You got fangs because there was no one left to protect you. But you, they're now tiptoeing because this version does not plead or explain. You talk with eyes that suggest, try it again. The beast is not irresponsible. It is disciplined and steady. That upsets people more than wrath because they anticipated kindness. Instead, your precision organized chaos, polished rage, and serenity, but never declare you'll feel without moving a finger. They feel you everywhere. You appreciate the strength, clarity, and calm that fire brings. And you should. This is pure, impenetrable, and free of masks. You do not rise for applause. You rise because it's in your nature. They created a monster and hoped it would self-destruct. However, it has developed and now takes its own route. It smiles as they disperse. You now on the door. They once passed through your soul as if it were a corridor. Now the locks have changed and the key is in your hand. This isn't ego. It is the ownership of time, energy, space, and above all, access. You're done waiting at the gate for someone to wave you in. You became the gateway. You decide who enters, who remains, and who is left outside, yelling your name into the quiet they created. There was a time when you gave without limits, when you opened your heart and spirit to accept us. They drained peace. Trust is present. You tolerated that because you were still learning worse. Still believe that love means sacrifice. Still believe you have to earn a place in spaces too tiny for your magnificence. You are no longer present. You're not desperate for love or asking to be noticed. You create the table, and everybody who wants a chair must contribute respect, honesty, and matching energy, or they will be excluded. You're no longer explaining. Silence no longer justifies limits. You own them. Access is money. Your presence is valuable. No, they don't just pop back in to say they're sorry they can't return. Now your globe has lines. If they couldn't love you in the shadows, they don't deserve your light wrestling remorse about breaking up. They taught you how to treat them. You've finally taken notes. You identified trends and broke them. That is clarity, not harshness. Confusion does not pay rent in your essay. God, what you constructed for full price. Every tear, every breakdown resulted in a breakthrough. It's too expensive to hand over to anyone who wants warmth without the labor. When a knock arrives, pores check vigor and pats. From now on, access is earned, never gifted. Certain seasons are closed. There is no encore, just a closed door, and your strength is rising behind it. Pen recovered, key secured. Not everyone walks through a peaceful environment like public land. You always determine if today's message connects with your spirit. Write 77 in the comments below and express your preparedness. This is your opportunity to demonstrate your strength, not only to yourself, but to the world. So, my cherished chosen family, your affection drives us to produce meaningful material specifically for you. If our efforts have touched your heart, please show your appreciation by clicking the super thanks button on a YouTube screen. Your thoughtfulness means everything to us and keeps us going. Thank you for being the incredible support system you are. I will be forever thankful for your kindness and encouragement. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and say farewell.